and welcome to the Hedgehog Hollow. Today I wanted to talk to you about the Scan and Cut from Brother. Now many of you know that I had the Scan and Cut 2 and then recently there was a Scan and Cut DX released. And I did an unboxing of the Scan and Cut live. It was kind of a very impromptu, like I got it out the box, I played with it. It was kind of mixed success. I've now had it probably for a couple of months. I've really played with it. I recently did a couple of PBS shows with it, so I've really learned about the machine, its accessories, the things it can do, the things it can't do, and comparison to the Scan and Cut 2. So I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts on the Scan and Cut DX, whether it's worth upgrading, if you're looking at purchasing, which one do you buy, some tips I've learned along the way between both machines, and then also, if you had the Scan and Cut 1, is it worth upgrading to a 2 or a DX? And what's the difference between all of them? So let me talk about the differences between the Scan and Cut 2 and the Scan and Cut DX first of all. So both models that I have are what's called the Hsn models. So I do not have the dealer models, which means they have slightly less features, but they are perfect for paper crafters. So this is the CM350. We can buy this on Amazon, you can buy on Hsn, and I will link it up in the video description. It's currently on sale, as is the Scan and Cut DX for the holidays. Again, I'll link all of those things up. And then we have the Scan and Cut DX. This is the 125 model. Again, this is the non-dealer model. Now, the Scan and Cut DX can cut much thicker things than the Scan and Cut 2. It also has an auto blade, which we do not have in the Scan and Cut 2. So this is the blade that we have inside the machine, and you'll notice there are no numbers on it. But this machine automatically detects the thickness of whether it's cardstock or felt or foam or any of those things. It automatically detects the thickness, and you don't have to tell it anything, which I think is pretty cool. And I haven't had any issues with it not cutting all the way through my images. It also has the color scanning, the same as the Scan and Cut 2. The Scan and Cut 1 only had black and white scanning, and I think that's the biggest limitation of the one. So if I had a Scan and Cut 1, I would most definitely think about upgrading to either the Scan and Cut 2, or if I could afford to, the Scan and Cut DX. The other thing about the Scan and Cut DX is you'll notice how much quieter it is. It is noticeably quieter. Yes, it's a little bit more chunky than the Scan and Cut 2. Actually, the amount of real estate it takes up in my craft room is not that much bigger. The width is about the same. It's maybe slightly deeper. It's kind of just a little bit more kind of cubey than the Scan and Cut 2. So that's kind of the biggest difference that I kind of see between them. You'll also notice something that I really like is the Scan and Cut DX has a bigger screen. It also has a color screen. I think it has slightly better definition as well. And I just find that this screen is a little bit easier to work with. Now, the mats you had for your Scan and Cut 2 are not going to be compatible with your Scan and Cut DX. They are different mats. So that's another difference. You would have to get new mats. You can't interchange, like between the Scan and Cut 1 and the Scan and Cut 2, we could interchange our mats. The Scan and Cut DX also has a really fun feature, which you can see right at the front here, which is why I had the machine open. It has these two storage pockets, which I really like, because I like being able to keep all of my tools with my machine, because otherwise I find that they just go missing. So I have this little pouch that came with the machine. It kind of has a few little tools and things in it. I can't remember what you get now. You get the blade to put the little holder that you can put the pen in that comes with it. You've got the spatula, and then you also have accessory packs that you can purchase. Things like foiling packs and embossing packs, and actually both of those packs you can purchase that would work with your Scan and Cut 2. But the Scan and Cut DX also has a vinyl roll feeder that would only work with the Scan and Cut DX. I got to use that for a recent PBS Make It Artsy show, and it was really cool because I didn't have to have a mat. I put my vinyl roll on there, it fed all the way through, and it did like the proper kiss cut, so it just cut through the one layer, it didn't cut through my backing, just cut through the vinyl, and it worked perfectly without a mat, which I just thought was amazing. It's really cool technology. Now, up until today, by the time you actually watch this video, the software will be available for Windows and for Mac. Up until now, it's only been available for Windows, which was kind of a frustration for me, and I always had to use Hannah's laptop to be able to use the vinyl roll feeder. I could use the online software on my Mac absolutely fine, and that all worked perfectly, but the vinyl roll feeder you had to like download the software for. to be able to use that part of the software, and I can only do it on Windows. But by the time you watch this video, it will be available for Mac users as well, so you don't have to worry about that either. Another cool little feature that you get on the Scan and Cut DX is a tiny little thing, but I just think it's super neat, is the fact it has this little tray at the back that you can pull out. So it feeds your mat out really, really easily, and then it just kind of slots away again. Again, simple things, but just really nice engineering that mean your mat feeds through really, really nicely. So you can see against this, it kind of doesn't have, I mean, this comes out maybe 1.5 inches more at the front once this is open, but your mat is the same size, so you're going to still need that same amount of room. It's just your machine when it's open maybe comes a little bit further forward. The width is actually pretty much, as I say, about the same. Now, with regards to features, again, it has all those same features that you're used to, the scanning and things. The other thing I really liked about this is, you know, sometimes when you used to, if you have a 2 or a 1, sometimes you used to scan in and you used to kind of get those rogue scans, like maybe on your mat it had a mark or it had a previous scan and things. And you're like, oh, but I don't want it to cut that. And it was like really hard to get rid of. It's super, super easy to get rid of on the new Scan and Cut DX. They've really upgraded the internal hardware, and also the wireless functions, I think, are really, really easy to use. It comes wireless prepared when you buy this machine, whereas with the Scan and Cut 2, we had to buy that wireless activation card. And you can check out the rest of the playlist for our Scan and Cuts. I'll pop that now in that top right hand corner, and I have lots of like the Scan and Cut things and all my tips and all those things when I did on the Scan and Cut 2, and I talked about why you may or may not want that wireless activation card. But that's in this, and I noticed the other day I turned my machine on and it said there's a new update available, do you want to download it? And the other night when I went to bed I pressed yes, and by the next morning it was all done, it installed itself, it was all wireless, and again that was super, super easy, and I really enjoyed how easy that was. You can again cut SVG files on this. I found the online canvas, they have upgraded it. It was a little bit easier to work with again, and all those files could just be transferred wirelessly. Again, we were at Make It Artsy, we just popped it onto their wireless network and off we went. You may, if you haven't seen any of my other Scan and Cut videos, I made this little kind of reference chart for myself, and what I did was I stamped out the same unicorn image from MFT stamps, and I cut it out on my Scan and Cut and then put it on a piece of black cardstock and laminated it with some labels. And I just did it that we have all the different options of cutting either on the line on this far side over here, and then all the way up to the 0.2, which I tend not to cut any more than a 0.2. You can also cut your image inside a circle or a square. So you could scan in your unicorn image, and then you can say to the Scan and Cut, put it inside a circle, and it will perfectly center it inside that circle. And you can tell it what size of circle you want, which I think is really neat, because when we're die cutting, lots of us struggle to maybe get it perfect, and then you don't have to buy a million basic dies either. And the other thing about this is I worked out if I didn't buy around about 10 sets of coordinating dies, my machine had paid for itself. So that is the reason that I bought the Scan and Cut, because I can scan in my stamped images and I can cut any kind of outline I want or any kind of shape that I want that's in the machine, and it's already done for me. So that's why I invested. The other thing in this is it has different heights of scanning. So again, there's different options in it. It can cut a lot more materials than the Scan and Cut 2. So if you cut maybe thicker materials or you cut a lot of vinyl, then definitely the Scan and Cut DX is a great machine. The other thing is many people say to me, well, my scanner isn't all that great on my Scan and Cut 1 or my Scan and Cut 2. Now, if you have a Scan and Cut 1, you only have a black and white scanning option. Quite often, if you have a Scan and Cut 2, you may find you switch yourself to that color scanning option, which gives you even better scanning. It's even more detailed scanning, and it sometimes picks up those lighter lines, and you can kind of do even more options with it as well. Now also, with using the online software, there's an image trace option, which means you can cut kind of inside lines, and you can do some really fun things with it as well. Again, all inbuilt in the DX, not so much in the CM350. So another thing. The other thing I have discovered, which you can really help yourself, and it's a super cheap tip, is I have started stamping with the My Favorite Things Extreme Black ink. Ever since I moved to this ink for my stamping with my Scan and Cut, I have found that I have far, far less issues with my stamping. with my scanning rather. I have found that my scans are far, far more reliable with using this extreme black. Now, extreme black means that it's a really, really dark black image. The other one that works really, really well with your scan and cut is going to be the Gina K Amalgam ink. Again, a really nice ink. It's going to work with your alcohol markers. It's going to work with everything. Those two inks are going to be the best investments if you work with a scan and cut. So again, I'll pop those links in the video description. And if you want to kind of, really play around, and if you do have issues with your scanning, I would really play around with using those two inks. Also, double stamp. If you use a stamp platform, something like a Misty, or if you have the Tim Holtz one, or whatever one you work with, a Stamparatus, all of those, double stamp. Whether you use these inks, whether you have a preference for another ink, if you stamp onto your image twice, you just layer up and it just becomes a little bit crisper. Again, your scanning is going to be better. And again, if you have an issue, turn on that color scanning. If you have your CM350, if you already have a DX, turn on that color scanning. I will try to do a video of how you turn on color scanning as well. We'll add that to our video list so that we can add it into this playlist when it's available. If you want to know when those videos come out, you want to hit the subscribe button and ring that bell that's next to the subscribe button as well. That will give you notifications of our videos. So that's how that works. So let's think about, okay, I have a scan and cut one. I like it, but I'm thinking about, do I need to upgrade? What do I upgrade to? If you have a scan and cut one, I'm going to suggest you do upgrade to a scan and cut DX, because the DX is quieter. It has better scanning capabilities. The price difference between a CM350 and a DX is not huge. And right now, Brother has some amazing deals. And again, I'm going to make sure you've got some links to those as well. It has that auto blade feature as well. So whatever cardstock you want to work with, whether it's watercolor paper, cardstock, vinyl, all those things, and it has a half cut option, which is really, really easy to use as well. That's for your vinyl and things. Then I think that this machine is just so easy to use. I think it's the most intuitive machine that Brother has produced. And again, your screen can fold flat. So if you have a much smaller crafting area, you can just fold your screen flat, and then you can just push it back up when you're done. You can, of course, do that with your CM350 as well. It's just a little bit different. You have to, first of all, you have to remember how you do it, she says. I think you flip this up possibly, and then it goes down like this. So you can also do that on here. The other thing is there's nowhere to put your stylus and things when you have the CM350. But what I really like on the Sandcut DX is you'll also notice you have a little cubby hole in here. And this cubby hole is great because if I had my stylus, which I'm going to grab back, it just fits perfectly in here. And sometimes if I'm working with the embossing pieces, I put my extra tools in here. So whatever I'm working on, I'll pop all of those things in here. If you're wondering what this button does, this releases your rollers. So when you're using your vinyl feeder, or if you're using some of the toolkits and things, that releases your feeder up so that you can adjust these rollers, which you'll need if you're using some of those accessories. It also, on the side, you will see it has, no, wrong side, on this side, which I'm going to turn towards you, it has a scanner button on the end here. And this just lifts or puts down your scanner depending on what accessory kit you're using. And it also depends on the height of the material that you're using. So again, it just allows for that little bit of flexibility on there as well. Now, if you have a Scan and Cut 2, is it worth upgrading to the Scan and Cut DX? Well, as with all of these things, it depends. If you craft like I do, and I'm crafting every single day, I'm sitting here, I'm making YouTube videos, I'm making cards, I'm doing all those things, then yes, for me, it was worth upgrading to the Scan and Cut DX. I like the fact of how quiet it is. If you're a nighttime crafter and you craft when the kids have gone to bed, maybe when the husband's gone to bed, and noise is an issue because Greg used to moan how noisy this was when he was playing his Xbox because it disturbed his game, then he's throwing his arms up at me behind the camera, then yes, this, I was so surprised how quiet this was. This is quieter than my Cricut, it's quieter than my Silhouette, it's like whisper, whisper quiet. So I really liked the fact of how quiet it is. So for me, that was a huge selling point. I also like the fact of how the auto blade, because sometimes I really struggled to get the right settings for the fact that I cut watercolor paper and then I cut Nina and then I might cut my Bristol Smooth and then I cut vinyl and then I cut these beautiful handmade papers behind me. And every time I had to find the appropriate settings. with the Auto Blade and the DX, I didn't have to do that. So for me, the investment was definitely worth it. And I bought all of these machines with my own money. Brother did not give me these machines. I do sometimes do some work with Brother, but I bought these machines, so I have no kind of vested interest in whichever one you buy. I am giving you my honest opinion on why I think each one is better. So if you have a Scan and Cut 2 and you just use it occasionally, it might be for the odd die cut. If you always use the same paper and you just have a favorite, then I think you probably wouldn't want to upgrade to the DX unless you really, really want to. If you love having the latest machine, then by all means. And as always, we have a crafty sales group on Facebook. Check the link in the description. I'll put that there too. Where we post always the latest offers, and we have a Hedgehog Hollow newsletter we send out on a Friday. Again, we put the latest sales in there. So if there's a huge savings and discounts on a machine, we'll make sure they are in there as well. So you can keep your eye on those, and we send them out to you. But if you are crafting all the time, or a nighttime crafter, if you're changing up things, if you're into your mixed media and you want to be able to cut thicker things, then absolutely the Scan and Cut DX is amazing. If you're huge into your vinyl, maybe you have an Etsy store, or you do craft fairs, or you just love cutting vinyl, Scan and Cut DX is amazing, particularly with that extra vinyl roll feeder. Also, I should mention there are dealer models. So if you have a Brother embroidery machine and you want to be able to cut out your embroidery files, then you're going to need the dealer model. That's the difference. The dealer models interact with the embroidery machines. They have some extra features in there. If you're a paper crafter and all you want to do is stamp some images and you want to cut them out, or you want to cut the odd SVG file, which are those fab cut files you see around, then the CM350 or the DX125 is absolutely perfect. And all of those accessory packs, like the vinyl roll feeder, the embossing pack, the foiling pack, which I cannot wait to show you the projects I did for Make It Artsy with that, is fab, would be absolutely fine for you as well. So if you have any questions, leave them in the description, in the comment section below, or you can leave them on the blog as well, thehedgehoghollow.com, and links are in the description to the blog post that goes with this. Don't forget to check out those links in the video description below as well. And I've also, of course, put links throughout this video to the playlist and other Scan and Cut videos that I've done as well. And we'll keep adding to those Scan and Cut videos too. So thank you so much for joining me today and spending some time with us at the Hollow. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because we are also the official media partner for Creativation 2019, which means you'll get behind the scenes news. We'll be on the show floor first to bring you all the favorite new releases from all your favorite companies, tons and tons of content before, during, and after Creativation. And also, do give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this review or you found part of it useful. And we hope to see you again very soon. Happy stamping! Bye!